And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, hello to everyone. It is the Weighing In podcast, number 193. We are back after long nights, big travel days, but we are dedicated into talking about the combat sports world and everything that is happening in MMA, boxing, and if there's something in some foreign land that comes with combat sports, we're going to sometimes talk about it. Joshua Thompson, how you feeling after all that travel, baby?
Travel? I mean, you should have asked me how I'm feeling after all that drinking. What? Jeez, man. Arizona, I love you. Phoenix was amazing. The people were amazing. The weather was amazing. Everything about that.
The whiskey was amazing.
Yeah, the whiskey was very good, by the way. It was awesome. We had a great time. It was just a great night of fights. The fans were on fire, and it was great, man. The fights were amazing as well. So I can sit here and say it all day long. But, hey, before we talk about anything further than this, let's go to our YouTube channel as well as all of our audio platforms. Hit that subscribe button. Okay, and also hit that little bell so you get the notifications. We do a midweek show that we drop, and we also do a couple other little shows that are in the middle of there somewhere, and we drop those at really weird times to keep you guys on your toes. And so when we do that, that little bell will notify you when our shows drop. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We want to thank you guys for following our show. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the UFC. I mean, we had a great time in Phoenix with Bellator, but let's talk about the UFC first. Look, I think the headline, John, really comes down to guys like Andrei Arlovski still doing it, still getting it done. That type of stuff. Jim Miller still getting it done.
They're boom.
I mean, that to me is just, it's insane. I mean, it lets me know, like, I did it for a long time, but to see these guys still out there getting wins, still fighting hard, still putting their heart and soul and blood, sweat and tears all into it. That to me, that was kind of what the night was all about. So when I watched these fights, I was thinking to myself, when these two guys stepped in that cage, damn, man, you guys are fucking animals. You guys are still savages doing your thing, and Jim just being a stud, an animal as well. So talk to me, Goose. What do you got?
I look at it the same way. A lot of people looked, and I heard a lot of stuff about, the card sucked. And it's like, okay, it wasn't, obviously it wasn't one of their better ones. But if you're going to look at something and take something away from that night, you got to take something away from Jim Miller. That was a big-time knockout, a big win. And, when you had even said you had heard that this might be his last fight, his walk-away fight. I'm not saying it is. We heard, well, maybe that's not so. He could be still fighting more. But still, fighting at the level that he is, the way he is, and then getting, 14 seconds into the second round? I mean, it was right away. Yeah. Huge, big knockout, put him away. Incredible. But let's talk about Andrei Arlovski, because I want you to think about this. And I was just thinking about this on the plane ride from Phoenix, because I had watched the fights without any commentary. As I was commentating, I put the thing on. I was watching kind of both everything stuff, and we were doing our preliminaries as their main card was on. Andrei Arlovski has been with the UFC before Dana White. Okay? He was pre-Zuffa. I can't think, and I was trying to think of any other fighter on their roster that was actually there before Zuffa came in, the Fertitas buying the UFC. Mm-hmm. Now, Andre had his moment that he left for a while, and he, fought with Affliction and fought with World Series of Fighting and those things, Strike Force, but came back. But it's amazing because the UFC was bought by the Fertitas in 2000. It's 2021.
Yeah.
We talk about 10 years of fighting is a good career. And that's, if you have that, you've had a really good career. We're talking he's over doubled that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing. Over 50 fights. And if you're going to be honest about where he's at right now, his last two fights are both wins. He is definitely the gatekeeper of the heavyweight division for the UFC. He's a guy who's, they're putting in there, and then when they have a person that they think this guy could be one of our upper echelon, one of our more top tier talent, we're going to see. They put him against Andre. And if he can win, they go, yeah, he's that guy. And if he can't, they go, I don't think he's going to be that guy, because Andre can still fight. He puts people in position. He fights, different than he did in the past, but he fights smart now. At least he's listening to his corner as far as not getting into the brawl at times when he shouldn't be getting into the brawl. And, he's an amazing athlete. He's an amazing guy. He's gone through a ton in his life and, a lot of things that people don't know about and things that I'm not going to bring up. But he's just a phenomenal human being. And the fact that he's still fighting and winning, just an amazing story.
Yeah, when we talk about like people's longevity in their careers, and he's somebody when he left the UFC for a while that people were like, oh, he gets knocked out all the time. His chin's gone. He's done.
Yeah.
Here he is 10 years later, still doing the thing. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy because he's reinvented himself. And a lot of older fighters have found ways to they keep trying to be what they were. And he didn't do that. He reinvented himself to make sure he didn't take as much damage. Now, his chin's still a little suspect, but he's 42 years old.
Yeah.
Jim Miller, he's been known to have a great chin, but he also, too, took some big shots in that first round. And he got wobbled a little bit. He got in trouble.
Yeah.
Because at that age, doesn't matter. When you start hitting that 36, 37, 38, your chin is not the same. Your brain gets rattled a lot easier, and you just can't take the shots that you used to when you were 26, 25, whatever it is, 28, in your early 30s. And so when I look at his performances, he's learned how to fight smarter. And I'm surprised that these younger fighters aren't just going out there just trying to barrage him with big shots. They walk out there and they
pull him into that gunslinging battle.
Yes.
I know.
Get him in there. And but he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't jump into it anymore, which is great. But he fights very smart, which is also great. But these young fighters, I'm surprised they're either showing him too much respect or they're really afraid to get knocked out by, a former champion, but someone who is older, and they don't pull the trigger. So the first 2 rounds, right? Carlos he really wasn't pulling the trigger. He wasn't throwing enough.
Yeah.
When he did throw and he did land, Andre respected it, circled out. Excuse me. Andre respected it, circled out. When he did, he was able to get his wits back about him and start touching Carlos again with his hands. Overall, when we start talking about fight IQ, this is what we're talking about. He made the adjustments, not just in the cage,
maneuver,
but in the way he trains, the way he performs, all of those things, he's made those adjustments. And I'm telling you, I don't know how much longer he's going to fight, but those of you guys that are still watching him fight, you guys are being treated to something special. Because like you said, having a fighter that's been there longer than Dana White has been there, that's insane. Absolutely insane.
I did his fight against Aaron Brink back in 2000. I don't know what the month was. I can't remember. But I remember it was UFC 28. And, he was this, young stud from Russia, the Ukraine and stuff. And he was like, man, Belarus. You go, who is this guy? And he pulled an armbar off. It was like, he had his moments where you went and you go, there was that time when he won the heavyweight title. Look, he was a stud. He had heavy hands, man, and he could swat. Yep, very athletic. So, like I said, amazing when you think of all that time, all the fights, and the level that he has fought, because he's fought everybody. Think about it. When he went and he left the UFC, there was a whole thing that that went on there for a while, and I will tell you this: I know part of the story. What Lorenzo really wanted to re-sign Andre. He did not want him to go, and he offered him a really nice contract. And Andre had made up his mind with his manager Leo at the time that now, what, we think we can get more, because he was getting offered more money from Affliction, and that was a way to go at the time, and that was a choice, and it's fine. But you take a look, and he went and he fought Fedor. And he was beating Fedor, on the feet, man. He was touching Fedor up. He had Fedor on his back foot. He was really causing him some problems. And he decided, I'm going to go for this jump knee, and he got touched, and he got turned around in the air. Yeah. But he's fought the who's who. He's fought everybody, and it's kind of cool when you see him going out there, because nothing against Carlos Felipe. He's a good, tough fighter. He had said a lot of things before this fight, said a whole lot of things about this is the worst matchup in the world for Andrei Arlovski. He's going to get knocked out. You don't put someone like me against him. It's like, Well, maybe you do, because see, this is what a veteran fighter can do. He can take someone who's younger, possibly stronger, more durable, and make you miss enough and make you have enough problems that he gets the win. And that's what Andre did. So congratulations to him. I thought it was a great performance by him, smart performance, and showed why he's the veteran and why the UFC keeps on using him.
Yep. Back to Jim Miller, though. Jim Miller with a great performance as well. It was a rough first round.
Okay.
He was back and forth.
There you go.
It was a rough first round.
Oh, that first round was tough.
It was a tough first round, a rough first round. He had his moments. But coming into that second round, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, hey, it looks like he's slowing down a little bit, and he's been touched a little bit in the first round. It could go south real quick, but doing what he did, man, he just came aggressive. I like that he is still aggressive, but he also knows his boundaries. He went out there, threw the hands real fast, threw a couple real quick kicks. From that southpaw stance, he's dangerous. He's got a good straight left, and he just finds his mark. The fact that he's still doing it, I think he's got the most fights or the most wins now in UFC history.
I want to say fights, because Andre's right there with him. They're very close.
Yeah, but it used to be Cerrone. So I think he has 50-something wins now, I think, in the UFC, or fights in the UFC. So, and I think it was Donald Cerrone had it before. So now he's just one-upped, I think.
He's one-upped the cowboy.
Yep. That's insane. Anyways, but look, I tip my hat to him. He's been around for a long time, and he's always been fun to watch fight. He's a dog, and he's out of New Jersey, right? He's one of them Jersey boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you're Eric Gonzalez and you're coming into the UFC on your first fight, and they give you the guy that's got more fights in the UFC than anybody else.
Yeah.
You think you're looking at, all right, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 14 seconds into the second round became a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But, Mr. Gonzalez will be back. Hey, he was out there fighting. He was looking good at times, especially in that first round. He was doing well. He was touching Jim up at times and stuff. So, you know what? Just take it, put it on the rack, learn what you can from it, and come back and have another great fight the next time.
All right, look, there's a lot of controversy going around this main event because of the cornering, the coaching,
and
all
here
the other
we go.
stuff. And here we go. Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little bit because that's what we fucking do around here. Aspen Ladd. Her coach decided that he would say some things to her. And Dave, can you pull this up? What exactly? Can we play the video? Is it off of someone's social media? What is it?
It's not a video.
Okay.
So are you talking about the post fight?
No. I'm talking about
actually
I'm
what
talking
he
about
said during the fight. I didn't think it's. Let's be honest. Okay, let's go into this a little bit because I think there's certain factors in here that kind of are swaying people's opinions of things because they're looking at him thinking that he's mean to her, that he's bullying her, that he is belittling her and trying to. Whatever anyone thinks, that's fine. That's their opinion, and they can have it. But here's the point: the coach should know their athlete better than anybody, as far as what motivates the athlete. Now, everybody's different. There are people out there, and and I used to coach people, and there were people I'd have to pat on the ass and say, "Hey, it's okay." Boom, and you kind of cheerlead them and bump them up and get them going. Because that's what gets them motivated. That's what gets them, a little bit more, in tune with what they're doing. And then there's people that you've got to, man, you got to kind of jump on them. You got to kind of be mean to them. And, hey, God damn it, pay attention. And you're, because that's what gets them and gets their attention and gets them motivated. So I don't know, and I'm not here to say, what motivates Aspen. But I would hope that her coach does. And sometimes, those things aren't real nice and aren't real pretty. But if Jim West had said those things to a male fighter, I don't think people would be saying the same thing. I don't think they'd be as mad. I think it's because it was to Aspen and she's, a female and it's in the middle and she's having problems in the fight. And so now then you're going to jump on her on top of that. It's like, maybe that's what motivates Aspen too. I'm not saying, if it's not, then it's not right. But if it is what he knows motivates her and gets her going, then that's what he's got to kind of do.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that you're, as a coach, you need to know your fighter.
Yeah.
Okay? And here's the thing. Every situation presents a different way on how you talk to your fighter. When I come back and things in the round's going well, my coaches would tell me, you know what? Same stuff. Let's keep doing the same thing.
Let's keep
maybe
touching
mix
this.
it up.
Let's keep
add a
moving
little
here.
thing here, add a little thing there, but nothing too. You don't want to give them too much information. So
they're doing good.
Yeah, you're doing good. Not too much information. When they're doing bad, you also don't want to give them too much.
There you go. Don't overload
You want to
them.
give them the right amount of stuff.
Just
really
fix one thing.
What he was getting upset about was he's like, and this goes for every coach. When your fighter is just not pulling the trigger, there's nothing that the corner can do.
Nope.
The fighter has shut down. I need you to throw something if you want to win this fight. You cannot get your takedowns off not throwing. You have to set it up. Like I say, raw dog, shooting raw dog, those days are pretty much gone. Getting a takedown by just shooting a raw dog takedown is pretty much gone. She just wasn't throwing enough. She's not going to win a fight if you don't throw punches. I've never seen a boxing match where the guy won by not doing shit. Okay, and that's kind of what the frustration from the coach was. It's like, not kind of, that's what the frustration was. Because there's not a damn thing that he could have done to make her want to fight more. And there's been times, if you guys go back, and there's been some fights, if you guys go back and watch my fight with Clay Guida, there's a change of corner. Javier came in for the first 2 rounds. And and then what happened was Bob came in round 3 and 4 or whatever, or maybe it was Javier first 3. But rounds 4 and 5, I had a different corner. I had Bob Cook because Jav's like, I can't get through to him. Bob, get in there and do something. Like,
hey.
and that's
the
really what
way
it comes
of doing
down.
it. Someone else talking.
Yes. Now, here's the other thing. Now, maybe they usually have great conversations in the corner. But for her, maybe the conversation's always been like, great job, nice work, nice, calm conversation. But in that situation, she's not doing anything. So he probably is like, look, I have to say this because now you know I'm serious. There's that old saying, and I don't know if it's an old saying or not, but it seems like it's been old because I've been saying it for a long time, is that if you're always at an 11, how does your fighter know or anybody know when something is important? If I'm always yelling at you, okay, then how do I know when it's important? It's like basically, I've heard this about for kids. If you're always yelling at your kid doesn't understand when something is important. Then, like, okay, don't run in the street. If I'm always yelling at you for everything, and I tell you don't yell, don't go in the street, the kid doesn't know not to go in the street of how important it is because that's all they hear is you yelling at them. And so if you are monotone normally, or you're in a conversation normally, and all of a sudden you raise your voice, that's when that kid or that fighter starts to realize, shit, this is not going my way. I need to do something because there's a sense of urgency, a sense of the tone has changed. So that's what I think he was trying to do. If I was going to critique him at all, John, my critique would have been this. After the 4th round, at the end of the 4th round, she finished the 4th round doing really well. When he came back, he started the same shit that he said after the 3rd round. Okay, there was some positive shit to work on after the 4th round or after the 3rd round.
She landed.
Yeah. After the 4th round, there was positive stuff to land to work with.
Yeah,
hey,
she had won that round with what she did at the end of that round and stuff.
Hey, if I'm going to critique him, that's
look
better. That was a better round. I need a little bit more though, because we got to get this. We got to win this round. I need a finish, but you're not going to get a finish unless you do what you did towards the end of that round.
Well,
what I would have suggested.
Do you remember what in her last fight against Yana Kunitskaya? Do you remember what happened?
I don't, John. I barely remember where I left my keys yesterday. So
I love it. Look, she was having a hard fight with Kunitskaya. And as I recall, I think it was the 3rd round. Before the 3rd round, he got on her, and he said, "Hey, I need you to bite down on your mouthpiece, and I need you to go after her, and I need you to finish her." And he was pretty stern, and she went and responded. That she went and did it. And you go, I think for the most part, people were praising him at that time. It didn't work for him this time, but like I said, he should know her and know what it is that motivates her. And if that's what motivates her, then, everyone's got to back off. If it's not what motivates her and it's not what gets her attention and it's not what will change what she's doing, then there's no purpose to it. You don't want to belittle somebody, and I don't think that's what he's trying to do, but
let's be honest.
I've seen him do it before.
John, let's be honest. She is a young, strong female athlete.
Yep.
Okay. I want to say I read this from Daniel Cormier. Are you fucking kidding me? She's going out there getting punched in the fucking head and punching somebody else in the fucking head. You're telling me that her coach hurt her fucking feelings?
Okay, there you go.
Get out of here with this nonsense.
Get
This
the
is bullshit.
Yeah,
we like DC was saying, we criticize, or we don't criticize, we actually are cheering when someone gets carried out in a fucking stretcher. And here she is being
Chastised.
not yelled at. She's being
Chastised,
chastised by her coach, who she's very close with, obviously, or he wouldn't be her coach. And now we're running to her defense. Get out of here with this nonsense. It's bullshit. I look, she's a young, strong female athlete. She's very capable of doing all the things that he's asked of her to do. Okay. I don't want to hear all this stuff. She just needs to understand. And look, and this happens, not her. Sorry. She doesn't need to understand. The fans need to understand. This shit happens in the corner all the time. Every fighter has probably gone through this type of situation.
I've had some of my greatest moments with these types of things.
Yep.
Some of them are serious. Some of them are funny, but it happens.
Yep. But let's not here. I'm going to speak very frankly in this situation, like I have the last 2 minutes, is that if you want your kids to be good, your coaches are going to get on them every once in a while. And if you as a parent can't handle that, or a fan can't handle that, then don't put your kids in sports. This is part of them learning how to be chastised or criticized and take it with a grain of salt and fix the problem. She needs to fix the problem. She has not been the same fighter since she lost to Jermaine Durand. She got knocked out quickly, and then since then she's been timid. That's it. I don't know how else other ways to explain it. That's when I've started seeing a change in her, of her not wanting to engage and get into those mixes. That's it. That's the only thing I think. Look, that's just something that's going to come with more time. She's what, 26? Cut her some slack.
She's young.
In terms of, she's super young.
So
she's 9
young.
and 2.
Yeah.
She took this fight on short notice. She shouldn't have taken this fight. She also took it in 5. It's 5 rounds. Like, leave her alone. And I'm not talking about the coach. The coach can ride her all he wants. Now, let's get into the coach, because there was a Instagram message or whatever he put out. I think, Dave, why don't you walk us through this thing, and then we can criticize him a little bit more.
That's what I would criticize him for.
Okay.
Not for what happened in the corner.
So he goes on. He does this post on Instagram, on his own Instagram, and he says, just tonight's not our night, and he basically takes the full blame for the situation.
Okay.
He says he was harsh. He says, the loss was his fault, but then he does also say that he was very harsh. But he says he's sorry from the bottom of his heart. He apologizes to Aspen Ladd, but then at the end he tags all the top media outlets, the ones that people go to.
Well, let's be honest. That's not the top media outsources, okay? We're not on there, so that's why it's not the top.
We're not a media outlet.
I get it. I understand. We're not a media outlet, but
he tags the media.
Yeah, he tagged the media, and I think the one that only really to recognize there is the Schmo. The Schmo is, pretty much the only legit one on there to recognize. So, anyways, go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of it, right? And then so you're looking at it, you're thinking, okay, so why are you tagging the media? Why are you not, if this message is to Aspen, why are you tagging the media? Why are you not focused on the issue? Why are you more focused on trying to get people to bring you on their show to talk about it?
Yeah, I think it was that's a little bit of clout chasing there. I think it was a bad situation. You shouldn't do that. I think he also should have just sat down with his fighter and had a conversation with her and apologized if that's the way he felt. I don't think he has anything to apologize for. I think he did his job. Look, and then for him to take blame of her loss, that's not
not him.
That's not yours either.
Now,
you can't make somebody fight.
It can be if you gave your fighter a horrible game plan and the wrong information about the fighter that they're going up against and everything that you gave them, they're trying to do, but it's
if they're trying to do it, but she wasn't trying to do shit. John.
I'm not saying
That's
that, but I'm
problem.
saying there are those times you can say, yeah, you know what, you game plan poorly for that opponent, but not you. I say it all the time, and you and I talk about it all the time. One of the worst positions to be in is to be in the corner of a fighter that is not doing what they have trained to do.
Yeah,
because there's nothing you can do to change
it. Nothing.
You have no control. You can sit there and push the buttons all you want. They don't respond any differently. it is just what it is. And sometimes, fighters go in there and it's not their night. They just don't feel it. There's all kinds of things. They just can't do anything right. It just happens. But, the one thing I would say is he doesn't have to apologize to anyone. If he did something wrong, apologize to Aspen. That's your fighter. You want to apologize to her? Apologize to her. You don't owe an apology to anybody else.
Yeah, like I said, if I was going to critique anything during the conversation between the rounds was because after the 4th round, he should have been more positive, saying, hey, the way you finished that round going into the 5th, I need more of that, but let's work for the finish. We got to get after this. That's all I would have said. You gotta reassure her that she had a good round.
Yeah.
That builds confidence a little bit.
At least that she was trying to do the things that you talked about that you trained for. She had turned the corner, so let's continue that turn.
Exactly. So that's the only thing I would have critiqued during the situation, during the fight. This, though, I'm going to critique the fact that, like, hey, what happens between you and your fighter, keep it between you and your fighter. I want people to go back. And if you guys go back in between Javier and Josh Koscheck, Javier Mendez, there was a blow up because Javier came out public. Yeah, Javier came out publicly and said something. Koss got pissed. And this is the type of shit. This is how it leads up to being a bigger situation than it really needs to be. And the fact that he tagged media sources, it's a little bit of that, hey, look at me, I'm trying to do this right. No. Don't care about that. Just do it between you and your fighter. You and your fighter have a relationship. When you make it public, it becomes people start inserting themselves in this conversation like we are right now. Okay, this is exactly what we're doing right now. We're talking about it, and that's how things get blown out of proportion. So I think the two of them need to sit down, have this conversation, fix it. I think everything is fine. Everything should be fine. Move on. Don't even think about this fight. Move on to the next one. Get into a training camp, and she's got to understand she needs to pull the trigger, and he needs to understand that getting on her like that is doing her a favor. You need to be straight with your fighters. I would fire my coaches or my corners if I came back after the 4th round and he was like, hey, you're doing great. I hear that shit all the damn time. And I'm like, you're fucking lying right now.
Exactly. You're not helping your fighter. You're giving them crap.
Yeah. So after she had a good 4th round, he should have been a little bit more positive, especially the way she finished it. He should have been more positive. That's the only critique I could have given him. So outside of that, hey, next time, what's his name? Jim West. Okay, buddy, you better you better tag us too, okay? Because we're the top media source. We're not media, but that's all.
All right, let me ask you what did you think of Norma Dumont's performance against Aspen?
I thought it was very lackluster.
Thank you.
A lot more.
Okay,
yeah, like how are you the main event and not pulling the trigger, knowing she's not pulling the trigger? Get after it.
Thank you. And then afterwards, there should be a title shot in the next one, at least interim title. It's like, I hate to tell you you did not put yourself in any position for anyone to even come close to putting title next to your name with your performance. You have been lackluster. You were very lackluster in that performance. You had a split decision win against Felicia Spencer where you won. I thought you won, but it wasn't a great performance. And Megan Anderson put you out in the first round, I think, is when she knocked you out. So you haven't proved that you are championship material yet. And that performance definitely doesn't put you there. So,
hey, you better be careful, man. The media's going to come after you because that was very harsh what you just said.
I know.
That was what you just said was worse than Aspen Ladd's coach said. I agree.
If you're gonna talk title implications, you're gonna talk I deserve.
No,
that comes off of a performance that shows that you are putting people away, that you are marching them down, you are taking control of the fight. You never did.
Got it.
So if you're not that person doing those things, here I'm going to say just take a look at what Corey Anderson has done in his 3 fights in Bellator. That's a person that can talk about, I deserve a title shot.
Yeah.
He is marching people down. He is dominating action. He's the one dictating where the fight's going to be. Those are the things that people want to see, to put title next to your name.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, well, let's get into what's next, Dave.
Bellator?
Let's talk Bellator then. All right, look, scroll down to the bottom. Let's scroll down to the bottom real quick. I want to see this.
Excuse me.
I'm not going to talk about all the prelim card fight, okay? But I am going to give some honorable mention type situations. Okay,
Ooh.
Maria Henderson, great job. Great job
Yes.
getting in under the bright lights, big arena, lots of fans, husband fighting later on in the card. She came out, she got the work done quickly. Nice little transition into the shot, into the body lock, step behind takedown, right to the back. Beautiful job. I want to tip my hat to her.
Yep.
Very nicely done. Very nicely done.
Hold on.
Jeez. English, John. English.
I want people to understand this too. Maria Henderson signed a contract to fight that fight at 115 pounds. That is the straw weight division. Her opponent agreed to fight that fight at the straw weight division of 115 pounds. Her opponent came in at 126.5 pounds.
Jeez,
That's
10 pounds.
10.5 pounds over that weight limit. And Maria Henderson said, I don't care. I'll go throw water in my system. I want to fight. So she made that fight happen. And when her opponent didn't do her job, so I give her extra credit in the fact that, hey, she went out there, she performed great against someone that was bigger than her by a lot. And I think purposely kind of missed that weight. Did not handle herself in the fashion she should have as a fighter. So great job by Maria Henderson, though.
Yeah, it was very nicely done. I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
The fact that she took the fight still. They were talking about she was drinking a ton of water, trying to get the weight out, trying to put more weight in. They were even talking about going to get rolls of quarters to put in her pocket when she weighed in, because you have to be within a 5 pound weight.
5 pounds.
Yeah, the Frank Shamrock situation
trick.
with Tito Ortiz. I tip my hat to her, man. Great job.
Yeah.
Waited, continue to take the fight. Got it done. First round, we're naked. Nice transitions as well. Got on that neck, and it was nice. Sullivan Cauley, great performance as well. He, I don't know. He got taken down, though. I was rather surprised by that.
And
didn't really get held down. He didn't get held down.
His butt hit the ground, and he was right back up.
Yeah, I get it, but he still got.
That's a positional change.
Down.
Well, that's because, and why? Because he's throwing. You know, it's not that Dion Clash is a better wrestler, and I give Dion Clash, I'll give him credit. This guy's a good athlete, and he was out there working hard, trying to put it on Sullivan Cauley. So I give him a lot of credit, because I watched his first fight, and I was like, he's athletic, but he's not. He was way better than what I saw in his first fight. But it was a long time as far as distance, close to 2 years since that fight.
Wow.
But let's be honest, Sullivan Cauley, first off, he can wrestle. He's got good stand-up. He understands range. He understands about not crushing his space, so he can land with some power and not make it to where his punches don't have an effect. This kid's going to be good. You got to figure this is only his second fight. He is a good athlete. He's strong. He's fast. He's elusive in when he wants to be. He went out there with a very good athlete and just put it on him. He looked really good. I'm very interested to see what he does in the future.
Yeah. I think there's two people that I feel like stole the show, though, in the prelims. So I thought Jalen Bates being one. You say Jalon, I say Jalen. Okay,
Whatever.
so Jalen Bates, I thought
Jalon
he stole
Bates.
the show. Yeah, in terms of how he fights.
Yeah.
He reminds me of a lot of what you were talking about, Jornal Lugo. The two of them are phenomenal athletes. They're very well-rounded. And I when I continue to say, and I know you guys are like, hey, you guys Bellator bias, this and that. I'm honestly telling you guys, the young talent that Bellator is producing has a very bright future. It's insane to see some of these young guys come up, and females come up, and just be like, wow, you guys are extremely good. Jalen Bates is well-rounded, so good on the feet, good on the ground, great transitions from the wrestling to the submission attacks. It was amazing. He's amazing to watch fight.
And you're also talking about a kid who's very young, who has now switched camps, is with somebody new, and is going against someone who's had, more than what it's showing as far as, I think his opponent had about 10 professional fights in MMA, but has over 30-some professional kickboxing fights. Mm-hmm. So a guy with a lot of experience. Kind of got touched on his feet and immediately said, okay, screw that. I'm taking him down, and went to the ground, did some beautiful work down there. His transition into the arm bar was fantastic, especially knowing exactly which route his opponent would try to take to escape the position, set him up and let him go that way, and just locked it in. You looked at the hip extension and how he's getting his ass off of the ground, utilizing his full range with his legs and everything. Just an outstanding performance.
Yep. No, he's good. He's really good. Lance Gibson Jr., his father was a former fighter, one has been around for a long time, fought in the UFC several times. I think, was he in Strikeforce also?
I don't think Lance was in
I don't
Strikeforce.
remember. I don't think he was in Strikeforce. He was just the UFC, right?
Yeah.
Some other organizations as well. But he's very talented as well. Like I said, the future is bright with these young, talented fighters that are coming up. The only thing I want to see out of him is a little bit more output. Like, don't get me wrong, he's got power, he's got the kicks. I just want a little bit more output. He sometimes likes to enjoy his work. So when he lands a clean shot, he slowly and methodically just walks after you and tries, and touches you some more, which I think is smart. It's a smart play for a young fighter. Sometimes we get overzealous, we start leaving ourselves out of position, trying to land the big shot, and then you end up getting rocked yourself, or you make yourself tired, whatever it is. He doesn't do that. He stays tight with his defense. He stays tight with his combinations. He's very, very good. Hard to take down, good submissions as well. But I just want to see a little bit more output.
You know, the best part of this is I talked to him after the fight, and I said, all right, what in the hell are you doing putting a body triangle on a guy that you know wants to be there? All right, I said, I know you know what Raymond Pena is good at. He goes, John, I did know what he's good at. That's why I did it. And I go, that's not, what do you mean? And he goes, look, I watched all his fights. He's really aggressive in the first round. He uses a lot of strength. He goes, I had a friend who had fought him. He says, yeah, he really grabs and he squeezes and everything. He said, so when you could see he's putting his forearm on my neck and everything. He says, and he's trying to create all. He says, so I was just letting him get tired. I figured second round is what I'm going to take him out. He goes, that's what I did. And I go, okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah.
But that does show. It shows a bit of maturity as far as for a guy that is now 5-0.
Yeah,
he's he is the full package. He's an athlete. He kind of reminds me of the Luke Rockhold. I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
got the model looks, right? He's good everywhere. He's got a great ground game. His stand up is solid. He's fast. He could be a powerhouse in the lightweight division.
Yeah, I think he could. I think he will as well. How old is he? Can you click on him, their podcast, Dave?
I want to say
Lance
28.
Gibson Jr. Young.
26.
Young, but 26.
26, even younger than I thought.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. That's what I keep going back to is we've got a lot of
young
really
talent,
good
baby.
young talent that just needs to continue to be built up.
Yep.
Get their confidence up, and they're going to start just pulling the trigger more. And we're starting to see those transitions. How they're feeling confident, and what they're doing when they're feeling confident is they're letting their hands go, and they're having more exciting fights and more knockouts and things like that.
Let's talk about letting their hands go, because the next fight was Sumiko Inaba. Well, we had said this is going to be a great fight because we had watched Randy Field, and this is a person that comes after you. This is a young lady who just is in the fight, wanting to create the fight, will be in your face. And we had seen that Inaba was someone who, you know what, she got that dog in her, and she will come after you. And once she gets that range and understands where she can do well in fight, her ground and pound is nasty and stuff. Everyone will look at Sumiko Inaba and go, oh, she's a pretty girl, and she's oh, why is she fighting? And why is she fighting? Because she's a freaking junkyard dog. She's good. And she's getting better. She listens to her corner. She understands how to control that range. And once she gets an idea of where she can do well, let's be honest, her jab, she didn't use it a whole lot in the first round. And then she started really popping that jab. And that was probably based upon her coaches talking to her and stuff. And then off of the jab, she started not only popping the jab, she's then throwing that cross straight across, and then coming with a hook at times. 1-2s, 1-2s, 1-2-3. And then she brought the kicks in. And she just systematically started dismantling her opponent, putting more and more pressure on her, putting more and more damage to her. And that's what you saw is, a fighter that's a tough fighter in Randy Field, just getting broken down by someone who fundamentally understands how to break their opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing with Randy Field. She's a dog as well. And the two of them came out and it was a great fight. They both were tough. They both were letting it go, letting it fly. And the thing is this is fun, and this is a story I'm going to tell real quick. Is Randy Field walked out to the weigh-ins, and Samiko walked out to the weigh-ins, and the ring card girls were standing behind them, and they both look at each other and they go, "Wait, they're fighting?" And like someone at one of the Bellator staff goes, "Yeah." He's like, "They're too good looking to be fighters." Like it was this weird vibe from the ring card girls. And so, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like what you were saying, like, oh, just because they're beautiful females, they can't. No, these two are dogs when it comes to letting their hands go. There was never a chance where they were like, no, one's going to try to impose the will. Both of them were trying to impose their will. They had a great fight. I know it didn't work out for Randy Field, but she took some big shots that cut her. She just, and then it started to be a snowball effect from that situation. But Samiko is tough as hell. Randy Field is tough as hell. And I'm looking forward to seeing Randy Field back in the Bellator cage as well. Samiko's got a bright future. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see the progression of those two, hopefully in Bellator.
Great personality on both, too.
The Javier Torres and the Millard, or Millard.
It was
Brown.
He's fighting. Nice to see Javier get a fight and then put his gloves down, get a win. But other than that, we can go past that one.
Yeah. So it was, they were okay, good stuff. There was a nice little transition on the heel hook. It looked like more of a knee bar / heel hook against Bobby Lee. Jalil Willis just didn't perform the way he normally does. I honestly believe that he's probably better at 155 because I think he can make a real big splash at 55. I just don't know what his weight cut is like to get there, and can he maintain it? Because I know he's fought both weight classes. So, but I think in the 155-pound division, I think he can make a splash in that group of fighters that are there with his athleticism, his speed, his takedowns, his wrestling, his stand-up, everything. He's so well-rounded. I just think at 170, he may end up being a little bit of the smaller guy as you get into those upper-tier guys. If you put him against Korshkov's a big, he's a big 70-pounder. You got Douglas Lima, who's a big 70-pounder. Yaroslav Amosov, he's not a big 70-pounder, but
pretty big.
He's pretty big.
MVP, pretty big.
Yeah, MVP's tall, long, and lanky, that kind of situation, So he's going to have a hard time with those guys, but I think at 55, right, you put him in there with Patricky, Usman, Nurmagomedov, you put him in there with those guys, I think he's gonna have a little bit more of a successful 155-pound career if he's able to get his weight down. But what do you think? To me, I felt like the fight of the night out of all the fights was Karl Albrechtsen versus Yagshimuradov.
Oh, freaking awesome!
I thought it was the fight of the night.
It was freaking awesome. It was so good, back and forth. Look, Karl Albrechtsen. He's consistent. You know what he's going to do. You know what he's good at, and he continues to go after it. The guy's got a chin. Man, he took some shots. That knee that he took, Josh, that was solid, and it would have knocked most people on their ass. Definitely would have put me on mine. And he ate that thing and kept coming, and then he was taking shots at the end. And this is one of those fights where you look and all the work that he did, he won the first 2 rounds. And then in the end, Yagshimuradov is coming on and landing some big shots and has him in trouble, but it's not enough. He's going to win that round, but he's not going to get the other ones, and that's the way the judging should have been, and it was. And you see the fans get a little upset by it because they see Yagshimuradov winning the fight at the end, but wasn't enough in the end. But I thought Yagshimuradov showed the kind of fighter he is. It's the guy that I saw when I saw him in Germany. I reffed him in Germany. And he's tough. He's super explosive, very fast when he goes. But he takes a while to get going. Every time I've watched him fight, every time if I reffed him, he loses the first round. He just doesn't do a whole lot. He comes out, he's kind of like Benson Henderson, comes out a little bit slower. Kind of, he's just, taking his time, looking to see what his opponent does. And he kind of gives the round away.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that because when he let it go, he let it go. The flying knee, the big overhand, the spinning wheel kick, all that shit. He looked phenomenal. I was like, where was this?
Fun.
Yeah, it's this. That was the fight that I was like, man, why is there not rounds 4 and 5? I wanted to see rounds 4 and 5, but they really let it go, and they finished hard and strong. It was a great fight. If you guys haven't seen that fight, you guys can go back and watch it.
The other part that was great about that fight, I talk all the time about, God damn it, don't be able to do push-ups and everything at the end of the fight and let it go to the judge's decision, because obviously you didn't put it all on the fight. Those guys were dead.
Yes,
you saw both of them. First off, Albrechtsen was hurting and exhausted. Yagshimuradov was exhausted. Yeah. They were both done. It was like, thank God this has not got a 4th round, because I don't think either one was going to answer the bell. But
great fight.
They both gave everything they had. It was a great fight.
Henry Krauss back in the win column against Parabchenko. Parabchenko just had no answer after that very first takedown. I thought, man, he's gonna run away with this fight because he's just gonna be able to hold Henry down. No, Henry made his way back to his feet, and the rest of it was history. I don't think he got a takedown after that. No. Henry was just touching him with the hands, not loading up, was putting combinations together, and every time he landed, you could see the difference in the power. Yep. Like every time he touched Parabchenko was like, was wobbled a little bit left, wobbled a little bit right.
That hurt.
Yep, just throwing him off balance. Yeah, everything, and even when they didn't land clean, they still looked like they knocked him off balance. So good performance by Henry Krauss. Glad to see him back in the win column. He's a dog, man. He's fought Patricio. He's fought Emmanuel Sanchez. He's fought a lot of the top guys in Bellator, in 145 pounds. And it was kind of like throwing him to the wolves when he first came in to Bellator back in the day. And now,
come on, his first 3 opponents: Daniel Strauss, Patricio Pitbull for Frady, and then Emmanuel Sanchez.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ,
no
one liked him. But yeah, we talked all the time. Look, he's got to let his hands go. He's not letting his hand. He let his hands go. He threw, and he was not loading up. He wasn't trying to get that big knockout shot. He was just trying to touch him, and at times put more power on the shots, and it made all the difference in the world with the way that result came out, because if you're putting shots on your opponent, it's slowing them down, it's damaging them, it's making them not want to do the same things, and that's what happened. And obviously, like, Parabchenko is good. He had 2 losses out of 18 fights up to this point. He's good. He just wasn't able to get it done against Henry.
No, couldn't get it done. Brent Primus, he had a dominant performance over Benson Henderson. When I talked to Ben afterwards, and I didn't want to get into it too much because his coach was there as well. I didn't want to, and you don't want to rub salt in the wound. But I was thinking to myself, this was one of those things where, like, what was your game plan? When I talked to him in the fighter meetings, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take him down and get on top, and just basically just beat him up from there. And I'm thinking to myself, why? You're better on the feet. Like I don't even know so much. He's faster, and I think he's better. Maybe Primus had more elusive, and he's definitely I look at it as almost being more durable, because Benson, he's one of those guys, and no matter what happens to him in a fight, he never walks out with a scratch on his face.
It's true.
Nothing. I'm just like, how are you still no blood or anything? Nothing.
His hair is a buffer.
Yeah, that's insane. But I didn't understand the game plan. He kept trying to force the takedowns in rounds 1 and a little bit in round 2, and I was like, "What are you doing? You're having some success." And he came out and dropped him in round 3. Dropped Primus in round 3 to start it off. I mean, I didn't get behind the game plan, and so that was when we talk about fight IQ. He usually has a very good fight IQ, but in terms of that fight, there was no fight IQ shown. I don't know what it was.
I'm going to tend to agree with you as far as what you're saying, because on the feet, he was doing well. And every time the fight hit the ground, he was in danger. He was having problems. He was having to give his back, and then he was getting stuck in that position. And although Primus needs to change some of the things he's doing when he gets positions on guys, there was times when he had gotten knocked on his butt, or he had taken some big shots. And look, Primus, I will give credit to. He's got a chin. The guy can take shots. He can take damage too, because, man, he got hit with some big shots and he kept coming back. But if you're going to take someone's back and just be safe as far as you're looking for the submission, but you're never being able to put it on. You've got to change it up. Start to open up, go to some strikes, try to open him up in a different way. But if you're not doing those things and all you've got is his back, and you have this time when you have been eating shots prior, you've got to do something to get those shots back in the judge's mind, because if you're not going after a submission or you're not going after strikes and all you have is control, you're going to end up losing the round. And I think, first round I think went to Primus, and I think third round did. The second round, you can look at it and say it probably should have gone to Benson because he landed the bigger shots. When he got in trouble near the end, Primus got his back, but it's positional, and you don't get credit for attaining the position in MMA. It's what you do with the position. How much do you damage your opponent? How much do you go after submissions to end the fight? And if you don't do those things, then it really doesn't matter about the position. Your time is just going by. So he needs to just change that up a little bit. I actually thought Primus fought a very good fight, and he was dominating on the ground. When the fight hit the ground, and Benson is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he's a NAIA wrestler, he's all those things. Brent Primus dominated the fight once it hit the ground every time.
Yeah, if I was going to pick a weakness, though, that Benson would have had for this fight, it would have been the grappling. I've fought Benson. I knew that.
Yeah, you said that, though.
He's not physically strong, and I think in the grappling situations, technically, sure, he's a black belt level, but it's not the same as someone like Brent Primus, who just really, you can tell he's kind of trying to force the learning of the stand-up, the kicks and the punching and the boxing, whereas Benson's more well-rounded. He's dedicated more time
fluid.
to being more fluid in all areas. But and I've said this before, he's not great in any one area. He's just really good everywhere. So it's hard. He's hard to deal with. That's what makes him so good. That's what makes him so dangerous for all these years. With Primus, though, you have to always be concerned with the grappling. So that's why I didn't understand the game plan of let's take him down, get on top. And I'm like, did you not see his last fight where he was being taken down by Mamedov and still was able to get like attacks? And those guys are strong, man. I've trained with Islam Mamedov. He was part of AKA or still is part of AKA. You know what I mean? But he's part of that crew. It was just tough. And so when I saw this, I'm like, man, what are you doing? All right. Well, look, let's get into
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Because this is, I think, the second fight in a row for Benson that he's lost, because he went up to welterweight.
Third.
He fought Jason. Is this third one? Damn.
Yeah, this is his third loss in a row.
Third loss in a row. Where does he go? What does he do?
Well, I mean, if I look at the brackets, right? If I look at the rankings, there's guys in there that he can beat. This is what's strange to me, is that Primus wasn't in the rankings. I don't know why.
Well,
I think our fucking rankings suck.
Thank you.
How do you have
Aviv Ghazali?
Yes, he's 6-0. Sure, he's got good submissions. I get it, but no, not anywhere near the level.
Put him against Primus. Put him against Primus. Let's see what happens. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, come on.
Adam Piccolotti and Primus might be a good fight. Could definitely be like one of those like ferret type fights where the two of them are getting after it on the ground. Be a great jiu-jitsu matchup. Yochi Amiuchi, Mamedov now in there because he beat Primus. But I think you put Benson in that category there. I mean, I could see him maybe potentially fight somebody like.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Amateur hour over here. Jesus. But I mean, if you put Benson in that mix there, I'd say maybe he fights the loser of Patricky and Peter Queally.
Well, he's already fought Patricky. He hasn't fought Peter Queally. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, but then that fight with him and Patricky, it was a close fight.
It was a real close fight.
It was a close fight. He's already fought Miles Jury. He won't fight Gonzalez because Gonzalez doesn't have enough experience.
No.
I mean, he's already fought Adam Piccolotti. You could try maybe put him against Usman or Magomedov, or you put him against Islam Mamedov. You could put him in one of those. Give him an opportunity.
Outlaw?
I think Sidney should be next for the title shot out of everyone. I don't think you match Sidney up against anybody. I think you put him against the winner of whoever wins the title. He deserves it. He's fought.
Negative.
Who else is in there that deserves a title shot? Give me a guy who in there that deserves a title shot.
Not negative. The guy that deserves a title shot is a guy named Brent Primus, who just beat Benson and put on a good performance, and he should be the guy that gets the title shot. I don't care
He just
what
lost.
this says. Are you kidding me?
He just lost to Mamedov last fight.
He just beat Benson Henderson yesterday.
I get what you're saying, John, but
So how-
you're gonna give him a title shot off of one win? Sydney Outlaw's had 3 or 4 in a row. I think maybe even more than that.
Let's be honest about the Mamedov fight.
Look, yes,
I'm
I
not-
was very honest.
I'm not saying that I think Brent Primus fought smart,
I thought
but
Brent
let's
Primus
be
won the
honest.
fight.
He didn't lose that fight.
I thought
This-
you thought he won that fight that night. Are you changing your mind?
Who?
Yeah. So Sidney Outlaw lost to Michael Chandler. He beat Adam Piccolotti. He beat Miles Jury.
Got knocked
So he
out by
beat
Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was in Japan, correct?
Yes.
But if you look at he's beaten Adam Piccolotti, who's in the top 10. He's beaten Miles Jury, who's in the top 10. Okay. Brent Primus lost to someone who wasn't even in the rankings in Mamedov. That's what knocked him out of the rankings.
You can't say that. You can't say anything because it was his first fight in Bellator. He can't be in the rankings.
I get what you're saying, but he lost
Just
to a
the
newcomer.
rules of their rankings.
He lost to a newcomer.
Oh God.
I'm my pitch is that Sidney Outlaw should be next.
Okay.
If you look
I'm
at the
going with
rankings-
Primus.
Oh,
Okay. Just being honest.
all right.
Okay. Then here, real simple. Put Sidney Outlaw and Brent Primus together. Boom. Then the
That's
winner.
good. I'll take that
like
too.
that.
I'll take
Okay.
that. Yep. And then you get the winner out of that. Yep.
All right.
Because then you're gonna have they've got to fight soon though.
Okay.
They've got to fight soon. You got the title fight here in what 2-3 weeks?
Yep.
Yep. So they got to fight soon. All right. Let's get into the semifinals. So
Ooh.
Corey Anderson made quick work of Ryan Bader. I thought Corey was gonna win. I said
Yeah.
this. I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna win, but I thought that it would go 2-3 rounds.
Yeah.
I didn't think Corey would be able to catch him that quick. And I will continue to say this. Ryan Bader is better at heavyweight. He's got
Yes,
a
he
speed
is.
factor. He's still, I think his power transitions into the heavyweight. I think it translates better
He carries it better into the heavyweight
into the heavyweight.
without the weight loss and everything. Yep.
Yep. So I think him at the age that he's at, I think he needs to stay at heavyweight. He's gonna
I
have his
agree.
hands full though too with who's the interim champ there now?
Valentin Moldavsky.
Moldavsky. That's going to be because he's also a smaller. He's one of those hybrid heavyweights. He's smaller, but he's thick.
pretty fast.
He's pretty fast. He's got good wrestling. But he doesn't have a ton of output for being one of those hybrids. Bader could start to slow him down if it gets into the third, fourth round. Moldavsky will
Absolutely.
start to slow down as well. So that makes for a fun fight. I think in this situation, you can't take much away from it, man. Corey Anderson's a stud. We've known he was a stud. When he left the UFC, he was ranked number 4 in the world, and I think he's just proving where his ranking existed. He deserved to be there. So I'd say he's probably still in that top 1, 2 light heavyweights in the world. I think he's there. And he's going to have to prove it against Nemkov.
I agree with you. I think, I love what Corey has done. He's been able to put himself in the position. He's in control of his own destiny. He came in saying, I want the title. And he's now put himself where there's no doubt he's got that shot. And you got to love the way he performed. He came out, he read what Ryan was doing well. If you watch the scenario where he gets the knockout, he does a beautiful his head center line. He drops his head off the center line, brings the right hand over the top. It lands on the ear, behind the ear, right at it. And just, that takes the legs of Bader away. I think Bader woke up when he hit the ground kind of and was like, whoops, look where I'm at. And then tried to survive and wasn't able to survive because he got hit with some big shots in the middle of the face and it made him turn away more. And I thought Jason Herzog did an outstanding job of giving him as much time as he could in letting him try to recover from the shot and realized it ain't going to happen and got him out of there before he got seriously hurt. So I thought, overall, outstanding performance by Corey Anderson. Proved again why he says, he's going to be the champ. Ryan, anybody can get hit behind, on the ear and it can disrupt you and put you down. That just happens. I think the heavyweight division is exactly where he needs to be and stay. It's just speed wise. I think it helps him. I think his wrestling transfers over well into the heavyweight division in that there's not a lot of good wrestlers there. He's got, better wrestling than most of them. So that's going to help him. His speed's going to help him. and the power is not going to be that much difference. And I think his power actually escalates more. You know, he showed that with, you know, what he was able to do when he was in the heavyweight Grand Prix. So overall, great job by Corey Anderson. He didn't work overtime though. He did not work overtime.
No, but he did the overtime in the gym though, so he didn't have to work overtime.
He was doing the dips on the on top of the cage. Just cracking me up.
Well, we want you guys to go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WeighingIn. There's plenty of things that are coming up to finish off this year to bet on with football, basketball, MMA, a lot of top-level MMA events coming to your TV, and also things for you guys to bet on. That cannot wait for you guys to start winning some money. If you guys listen to Big John and myself, we will give you some of our predictions. Go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WeighingIn. Let me say that one more time for you guys. Go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WeighingIn, and we're going to try to help you win some money. Look, a lot of people are going to look at how Nemkov performed, what happened in the first round. They're going to look at the rest of the fight. I'm going to say this. Anytime you get somebody like a Julius Anglitskas and you are stuck fighting him on short notice, there's not much out there about him. You just know he has a good record. You just know that he's big. You know that he's strong. You've seen him in passing and in other fights in this type of situation. You've seen him dominate other fighters. So in that first round, he was touching him. He got clipped, rocked. Everything was flashing before his eyes. Shit, I'm going to lose the title. I'm going to do this. Then he got his game plan together and just realized that Julius couldn't stop his takedowns. And once he got on top, he had nothing from the back. He had nothing from the back. He had no submission attempts. They were too slow to attack on him. And he was sure he was physically strong, but I take away the strength when I put you on your back. You're not as strong when you're on your back, and you're carrying my weight as well as having to get yourself up, you know, and any type of strength or size advantage you had is when I put you on your back, a lot of that is negated. And so he fought a very smart fight after that. Maybe some people weren't impressed with his performance. I wasn't overly impressed with his performance either. And I'm not going to sit here and blow sunshine up your ass and tell you I was. I was impressed with the fact that he made the adjustment and he was able to change the game plan after the first round. And actually 3/4 of the way through the first round, he made the adjustment and he kept going to the well after that. That's fight IQ.
Hello.
But even then, the performance wasn't that great for me. Like, it should have been finished a little bit sooner. There was opportunities there for him to. But then you're dealing with somebody that you don't really know. You don't know what they have left in the tank. You haven't seen him fight at the highest level with some of the other guys. And
That's right. And you haven't seen yet. You have not seen him respond to being damaged. Yeah. Now you have, and you know, hey man, Julius Anglitskas, he can be the nail, and he'll stay in the fight. Yeah. You know. Yeah, I thought he showed a lot. He's tough. He's just not ready just quite yet for that level. It was just that level change.
Yeah, it's just the level. Like, he's just not ready. He's there, but he's not ready to jump right to the champ. That was the thing. You want to have a couple fights in there, you know, to get to the champ status. And I mean, I understood why he took the fight, but
sometimes that next step helps you get to the next step, because if you don't have it, it's too big of a jump. And that was just too big of a jump. But let's break this down a little bit, and let's be honest about Nemkov. First off, Nemkov's wrestling is way better than people give him credit for. This is a guy that now trains with the Russian national team. And anybody that knows what the Russians are like in the wrestling world, look, technique-wise, they're unbelievable. And his technique is he gets guys all the time and puts him where he wants. He puts Phil Davis where he wants at times. And if you can do that to Phil Davis, and then you watch Julius Anglitskas, who was a good wrestler, could not stop anything he did. Not at all. Yes, he got hit with a big shot and he got on his butt, but immediately said, okay, I need to protect myself. Shoots in, gets the takedown, stays in the top position throughout the round, you know, gets himself back to where he actually wins the round. Mm-hmm. And then in the next round, he 10-8s him, Josh. He beat the piss out of him. I mean, Anglitskas had zero offense for that entire round. He was defending the entire time and getting smashed. All right. Go into the third round, a little bit slower. Fourth round was damaging. He gets the submission and was smart about going, because he went in the third round. He went after the 2 arm bars, and you look and you go, probably not the good setup, because he knows where you're going. Well, you know. And so I will agree with you. Look, when you're showing the setup and he's not in that position where he is broken, you can't go for that submission.
Don't force it.
Exactly.
Because a guy like Corey Anderson's going to get on top and make you pay.
Yeah, and smash you. Exactly. Yeah. I agree. But that's a learning thing where you go, okay, I forced it. Can't do that. Mm-hmm. But overall, one punch was the only thing that a very good fighter in Julius Anglickas had for that entire fight.
Yeah, very true. I mean, like you have Corey Anderson versus Nemkov. How do you see that fight going?
I'll tell you what, man. I see, obviously both guys are fantastic. Nemkov is continuing to get better. And if there's one thing I know off of his team, they've been looking at Corey Anderson because they looked across the way at the other bracket. And that was the guy they picked to win that bracket. I've talked with them, and they're right. He's the guy that won that bracket. So they've already been looking at him and kind of figuring things out and watching him. And that's what good teams do. You don't prepare for him at that time, but you start, breaking him down and understanding where he's strong and where you think you can take advantage of him. And there's no doubt in my mind that when Corey kind of looked at those things, he thought, I think Nemkov's going to still have that title, and that's the guy I'm going to fight. So they've been looking at each other. I think that the wrestling of Corey is good, but it's not better than Vadim's. And he's going to have to, it's MMA wrestling. Okay. It's not, it's MMA wrestling, man. It's not that Corey can't take Vadim down. I do believe he can, but I do believe that Vadim can take Corey down. And it all depends on who starts to overextend and everything. The one thing that I really like that I've seen from Corey is he's been really very patient with his footwork and his feints. He's been setting guys up with those feints to work on, not at the moment, but I'm going to give you that same feint in the second round or later on in this first round, and I'm going to then try to counter you when you bite on my fake. And he's been doing a really good job with that, and we'll see. Gas tank-wise is the thing that really would be the thing I would look at and be concerned with if I'm in Vadim's corner, because not that Vadim, he looked great. And if there was one thing you looked at in this fight with Anglickas, he was fine. He was in no way out of breath. I was watching his diaphragm. He was in control. And he was controlling the pace of the fight, and so it was not something he was being pushed. Corey Anderson's got a gas tank. Corey Anderson can push the pace. So can Corey Anderson use that as a weapon and weaponize his conditioning and push Vadim to a point where Vadim, who I have seen before break down over conditioning, have a problem?
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to put it as nicely as you.
Okay.
As you did. I think Corey runs away with this fight. I don't know if Vadim gets out of the third round.
Okay.
I think Corey is the better wrestler. I think he's a better MMA wrestler as well. I think on the feet, Corey's going to stiff the jab, and I agree with you on the feints. I mean, you picked it up from me yesterday when I was talking about it because I brought up the feints, so you just stole my content. I get it. It's been happening a lot lately.
Jesus Christ.
The feints will be key, because what's going to happen is those feints lead to him being on ice skates. He's going to have to be worried about, is he going to shoot? Is he going to hit him with the jab? And I think the speed factor, I know that Nemkov is normally the faster fighter. Corey's pretty damn fast. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say that the speed will kind of cancel itself out. I give Corey the wrestling advantage. He's going to have the reach advantage. I don't know by much, but he'll have a reach advantage. The speed is, like I said, cancel each other out. The wrestling is going to go to Corey. I think the top position is going to go to Corey. Corey's going to be hard to submit. Okay, I know Nemkov's got some good transitions. He's got good takedowns, or he's not takedown, but good submissions from his back. But he needs to get up. He can't afford to be on bottom taking shots.
True.
From Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson's got, like he says, ground and pound, baby. He's got some nasty ground and pound. So Nemkov can't afford to do what he did with Ryan Bader a little bit and start swiveling his hips, and trying to hit the submission. I believe it's got to be sweep, submit, get up, submit, sweep, get up, that type of stuff. Hit, shoot your shot. If you don't get the submission, kick him back and get back to your feet. Do what you can to get out of that position. Because if he wastes too much time in the first 2 or 3 rounds on his back, it's going to be a snowball effect. Corey's going to just keep making it easier to take him down and start smashing him some more. I like Nemkov. I think I just think that he leaves himself out of position a little bit too much. And that's what he got caught by Anglitskis.
At times.
He does. And even though you say he wasn't tired, he wasn't tired. I don't think he was. But what I didn't like, though, is that even though he wasn't tired, he wasn't fighting at the pace that he was in the first 2 rounds. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Corey will maintain a steady, fast
No,
pace.
he'll build upon it.
Yes, exactly. And the more he lands, the more he wrestles, the more I see him just starting to just run over Nemkov. And I'm not saying it's not, I just think that it's going to end up happening where Nemkov's going to make himself, he's going to end up being too tired and he's not going to be able to stop the onslaught that Corey Anderson's going to deliver.
Okay.
And I think that's what's going to be the factor. Now, I know that they're going to come with a good game plan. And I think now that I've said this and I'm thinking about it, it's going to be probably a better fight than I was thinking it was going to be. Now that
It's going to be
all this in my head.
Well, let's, I say the wrestling is actually even. That's what I believe. And normally I would say Corey's, I think, was better, but I think it's even. I think the speed factor is even, just like you said.
Yeah.
I do believe that it cancels each other out. I believe punching power is very similar too. I believe kicks go to Nemkov.
Yes.
I believe ground and pound goes to Corey.
Yeah.
So they both have their elements, but this is a good matchup. You can't ask for anything better.
Yeah, I agree. All right, hey Dave, let's get into some news because we've been talking for quite a while.
Oh yeah, baby.
Let's get into some news.
Well, as a podcast, I would expect that. But anyway, so
I'm gonna sock you in the damn face. I'm gonna see you next weekend, Dave.
I'm coming to Dallas just to punch you in the mouth.
Yeah.
all
All
right,
right,
so this first story we're going to talk about, you guys have obviously had some conflict with the media lately, right? And so, like, this story is very fitting.
What?
None of us have had conflict with media.
Just throwing punches.
I
at
mean,
Josh.
a lot of these guys are just clout chasers, just trying to chase after our success. That's really what it is.
So,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. I'm having fun.
Former UFC fighter Michael Graves had a DM leak with a reporter recently, and the reporter Amy Kaplan came out and said, "Hey Michael Graves, you want to take your threats public or just DM? I'm not scared of you." Tagged Titan Fighting, who I think he's fight for now, and then re-released a screenshot of the messages. Now I'm gonna blur out some of these words because they're really not appropriate for this platform, but
not for our podcast.
He says Michael DMs Amy and says, "Keep the kids out of it. Be a social justice warrior all you want. Don't forget there's real warriors out here." Amy says, "I'm a domestic violence survivor and get very heated about this topic. We are all allowed our opinions. You don't have to like it. Is that a threat? LOL." He says, "OMG, Amy, LOL, possible. You go show these messages to the expletive in the media department at the UFC or the chief of police. F your expletive ass. I see you. A threat? You must be," another expletive, "sick of you people in our world." And then, that's kind of where it is. But, not great to see. There's kind of a lot of this right now with media people and fighters. And, so here we go.
John.
Good, you go.
John, I don't even know where to start. First off, look, Amy Kaplan. Can you pull up a picture of her? I'm trying to remember if I know her or not. It sounds familiar.
I know Amy. She's a good person.
Let me see. Amy, do I know you? Yeah, okay. So look, Amy, I'm just talking like directly, strictly. Like I don't care what he said. I do care what he said, but I'm saying in terms of whether it was private and you made it public, fine, do whatever. That's fine. But I feel like this is that pushing towards the cancel culture of let me tag the company he fights for. Look, it's going to get around, but you doing that's, I mean, like it's going to instigate even more problems, more issues, more hate, more divisiveness, all of the stuff that comes along with this type of shit, these type of words, it's not right what he did, what he said.
Nope.
But it's also not right that she's like, let me just tag your boss. He shouldn't have said it. I get it. And he shouldn't have put it on social media or he shouldn't have had it out. Just stay out of people's DMs. That's one thing, And like, dude, she's media. who gives a shit? Like, leave it alone. Like, why get involved in these type of things? These are not these are the type of conversations that nothing good ever comes of from social media. It doesn't matter what you say. It will never be resolved on fucking Twitter. Stop. People need to stop with this.
Twitter does not resolve disputes. It only inflames them.
Yes, that's why, honestly, look, when people talk about with the aerial stuff, people were sending me a bunch of shit, and I was like, you know what? I started having fun with it. I'm over here collecting W's, baby. I give two shits about all this stuff on Twitter. Like, it's just fun. When I get stuck between flights and I'm at the airport, in the Delta Sky Club enjoying my $40 margarita, I'm sitting there literally just going and laughing and thinking of all the GIFs and memes that I can post to make fun of the people on Twitter trying to have a serious conversation. That's how dumb this is.
Then you can tell them that I am texting you back saying, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I think it's so great. I think it's so great. Because people, like, they're on there. I'll hit send, and I kid you not, within like 30 seconds, they're waiting for a response. Like, it's crazy to think that that myself. I mean, I'm not even that. I'm not super popular, but I have that much control of the trolls that are on my Twitter handle. It's great. Come to me. Come to Poppy. Come here. Come here. Come to Poppy.
Hey, Poppy.
I love it. You post something in there, but this situation here, don't do it. Like, what he said was stupid, beyond stupid. All the stuff it's ridiculous. Don't do it.
And nothing against Michael Graves. You can't win this. You're not someone that has the social media backing to even come close to winning this. She's got the bigger microphone. She's the reporter. She's going to be able to start to write things, and you're always going to get pissed off. Let it go. Walk away. You don't get into these types of fights. It's just not worth it. Yeah, I know you do. It's like,
they're so fun to me. Yeah. But here's the thing: is you can't let it get serious, and that's the problem.
No, well, it got serious. It really got serious when Amy brings up, I'm a domestic violence survivor and stuff. And Amy, if that happened, I'm sorry. I apologize that you had to go through that, but this is not domestic violence. What's happening here with Michael Graves, that's not domestic violence. Yeah. And so, it's just a situation. No one's going to win at this. Stop.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways.
Okay.
Sad to see. All right, let's get into some fantasy booking here. So someone asked Teddy Atlas about a fight between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Obviously stated the obvious about Tyson's been training boxing since he was 12 years old. Not a whole lot more on the topic. But with that, what do you guys think about this fantasy fight?
Boxing or MMA?
I'd probably say boxing because Teddy Atlas does kind of favor the boxing, right?
Dude, let's just be honest. Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight boxer in the world right now, by far, and just getting better.
Is it by far, though? Is it by far? Or is it just
by far. Well, let's just okay. You got a trilogy with Deontay. Which one did Deontay win?
He wasn't winning any of them.
Okay.
He wasn't winning. I don't even think the first one was a draw.
Well, okay, and this is my point. Which one did he win? He didn't win any of them.
What other guys? What other guys are at that weight class?
Come on,
I mean,
Anthony Joshua.
I've said before.
You think Anthony Joshua is going to be him?
No, look, you guys got to. I want to explain this because I know that people are like, man, you could tell he doesn't know anything about boxing. The thing is, here, I know Chris. I've seen Chris on the circuit for years because I used to work with a pro boxer, and I used to coach and corner him for his conditioning and stuff. And so Chris and him were usually on the same cars. They were managed by Goose and Tudor, and so I followed Chris. And the other thing as well is that Chris, you're right. Chris is getting older. He's going to struggle against the top level guys, but he did just have a really good fight against Andy Ruiz.
Had a great fight against Andy Ruiz.
Great fight, great performance. Probably the best he's looked in a long, long time.
Yes,
That's why I kept bringing him up. I like to try to be positive and shoot him in there a little bit here and there. But there's a lot of other top heavyweight boxers that belong above him.
Yes.
above Chris. But I kept saying it just because I knew it was
But
bugging John as well.
this is the thing with
driving you nuts.
This is the thing with Francis. Look, Francis is a stud and he's got power. Do you think that guy that he fought in those trilogies has no power in his hands? Deontay hits every bit as hard as Francis Ngannou. Okay, so the power of Francis is not going to be a problem for Tyson Fury. If you're talking about this in a boxing ring, Tyson Fury takes him every time in a boxing ring. I'm not saying that Francis couldn't put him on his butt. It's a possibility, but he ain't going to win the fight.
Here's the thing, John. What if it was a boxing match with MMA gloves? It changes the game.
It does change the game, especially defensively.
Yeah, not just defensively, but then a lot of the slappy shots that Tyson hits with, those aren't going to be as effective. Because because of all the. I mean, like, look, defensively, right? They've got bigger gloves. They can block more. I admit. Yeah, huge difference.
Yeah,
Francis. Yeah, I think that would make for a fun fight. If you're going to say it's not MMA, because Francis would have the nod on the MMA scene, but if you made it a boxing match with MMA gloves, I think it'd make it for a more interesting fight. I'm not saying that Francis would win. I'm saying that it would change things up a little bit.
Think of the fight. Think of the fight that you could have in MMA with Francis Ngannou, that he would be the guy shooting for takedowns. Because that'd be the fight, man.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But I think stylistically in MMA gloves, it would change because a lot of how defensively Tyson Fury is with the bigger, puffier gloves, will change. And
obviously it would have to change because he's used to using something that's got a lot more frontal face area. It's not the cushioning, it's the area that it covers that he can use to actually parry, the shots of his opponent and everything. So it's it definitely would change things, but that's all fantasy stuff. That fight's not.
Yeah. We gave this shit way too much time.
Wait.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. Next story is around Jon Jones and the statement that came out from Jackson Wink about him being kicked off the team. Basically, is what it was said. And then Jon Jones put out a tweet that basically said, he kind of talked about the being dismissed from the team, and then saying thanks to the people that are sticking with me. And then Chael came out, kind of attacked Jon for saying, calling that tweet disgusting. And then Jones replies to Chael, deletes that tweet as well. So I think, the Chael thing aside,
what was Jones' reply to Chael?
He said, at 4:33 in the very first round and still living rent free.
I don't know why he would delete that. I mean, it's true. So why would you delete it?
Not one bit of it you could say, except for maybe living rent free, because I think actually that Chael lives more in Jon's head.
In Jon's head,
Okay, Josh, you're a guy that owns a gym. All right.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, there you go. I've been a guy that owns a gym. I want people to think about this, and this is where, when you're Mike Winklejohn and Greg Jackson, and I'm sure that Mike and Greg talked about this, but Mike is the guy that told Jon, look, and he didn't kick him off of anything. He said, hey, right now, I can't have you coming to the gym. Now, understand, this is a martial arts gym. This is a business. And although Jon Jones does bring business to that gym and does bring money based upon his fights due to the trainer pay that Mike Winklejohn and Greg Jackson get, they've got a lot of kids and parents walking in the doors of that gym. Well, now you got a guy that has had multiple things happen and now has a domestic violence thing happen. You're forcing them to be in the position of, hey, right now I can't have you come to the gym, because they have a business, and it does something, yes, they can side with you and they can say, oh, it doesn't matter because we don't know what happened yet and everything. And they know enough. And again, I'm going to go right back to the one thing, and I'm not going to say anything about Jon's fiance and what she said or what marks were on her or anything like that. I will go to his daughter, who told a security person, please call the police. When your daughter is asking someone to call the police on her father, there's a problem. And if you can't figure that out, whether there was people that were touched or not, when they're asking someone to bring law enforcement in because their father is someone that they are actually afraid of at this time, of doing violence or doing something to their mother, you got to look and go, hey, man, you can't have it. And so Mike Winklejohn is saying, I've got a lot of kids. I have a martial arts program. I have a school here. And is the one worth more than the many? He's in a bad position, so he makes a decision off of that.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong that he did.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a business, and he has to. And people need to understand that the gym doesn't run because of the fighters. Everyone thinks like, oh, AKA is run by all the fighters. No, AKA has 500 members, 600 members that keep that place afloat.
That's what opens the door.
That pay $200 something a month. That's what keeps the doors open, so those fighters have a place to train. It's not the fighters and the pay and all the shit that they. No, it's not. That's not what keeps the gym open. If anything, that will bring people in, but it will also take people out.
It also runs like people away. Yes.
It does. It runs people away. But then when something like this happens, like with the Jon Jones situation, there could have been members there and been like, hey, I'm not bringing my kids. And there could have been a big group of them saying, I'm not bringing my kids here anymore if he's there.
If he's going to be there.
I'm not going to let my wife is not allowed to train there anymore. Or I don't want my wife training there. Okay. Because Jon Jones is there. You know, those are things that, as much as he maybe has brought business in, as much as he's maybe brought business in one fell swoop, he can run business out. And so that affects their bottom line. And when that affects their bottom line, they've got to make a decision. And so that's kind of what they did. Now, not to say that he won't be back. He may be back, but right now they've got to let the dust settle.
Exactly.
All right, next.
All right, last story. We're going to end on a high note. Rumble posted on Instagram that basically he's through whatever it was going on. You know, he posted the whole thing with the glass jar, the bacteria and all that we talked about before. But now he just posted one. He says, we're done. Thank y'all for the prayers. Y'all are a hell of a support system. And, you know, implying that he's on the road to recovery.
Yep. I talked to him on Friday. And then we chatted a little bit yesterday. Yesterday was Saturday. Yes.
Yep.
So I chatted a little bit with him yesterday too, just through text. He's like, yeah, the hard part's over. He's like, you know, I'm already feeling a lot better. And so, you know, he's like, now it's just a wait and see. And I don't want to get into details of what it's all about and stuff, but
doesn't matter.
He said he's feeling better. He doesn't know. He's not really looking past, you know, the next day and the day after. But he's like, you know, obviously, the doctors are telling him that everything's on schedule,
looking
really good. So as long as it stays that way, we may see him fight again. If we never see him fight again, I mean, at least he'll be healthy. At least he'll be, you know, able to carry on. That's the most important part.
Look, I look at it this way. AJ, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you're getting healthier. Not worried about you fighting at all. If that's what you end up being able to go and do, and that's what you want, awesome. But I'm very glad that you are getting healthier. Take your time, do the right things to get yourself back. And, you know, it's eye-opening, and people need to understand. Fighters are just people. They're no different, and they get scared. And when your life, you're in a position where someone's telling you, hey, you don't seem to understand. Your body's shutting down. Your life is in danger here. You know, it'll change your perspective. It'll change your outlook on what's important. And I think, you know, Rumble had a scare, and I'm sorry that happened to him, but he's going to make it through it. That's all that really matters. Yeah. And whatever he decides to do in the future, best to him.
Yep, I agree. All right, guys, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/weighing in. Use the promo code and still.
Say that one more time.
Code. Yep. Promo code and still.
Thank you.
And that's at ProWrestlingTees.com/weighing in. And you guys pick up one of our shirts there. And do us all a favor. Rep that stuff. Put it on your Twitter.
Be
tag
proud.
Us in it. We'll retweet it for you. We'll share you repping our brand. We appreciate you guys, and we want to thank you guys so much. Also, hit the subscribe button. For all of our audio platforms, which is we're really trying to build that up as well. So if you guys go to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, all of those platforms, you hit the subscribe button there. Is for our audio platforms. You guys now having to drive to and from work, listen to us in the car. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I felt a little low energy today, but I hope you guys understand. I'm a little tired. I wouldn't say hungover, but I got a little bit of a
I'd say hungover.
I got a little bit
You're
of a
hungover
out there. Yeah, so
you have a fever?
Yeah. What's it called? What's that thing called? It's called like
it's called booze sweats.
The morning. No, it's called the morning frog. Is it called the morning frog? Got a little bit of the was the morning frog.
Morning froggy.
There you go.
You got booze
I got a little bit of
sweats.
that going on. I got a little bit of that going on. So, all right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And John, you can take us off the air.
I think I will do that by saying thank you to everyone for listening, and we will see you later.